Now to our other huge story of the day. Just a day after her tearful news conference pledging to restore public confidence in her office, Oregon Secretary of State Shemia Fagan throws in the towel. She announced this morning she will resign officially Monday, May 8th. She decided she could not survive a scandal of her own making, taking a side job with a marijuana company that her staff was auditing. Fagan was a rising star amongst Democrats. This is video from 2014. She has a law degree, grew up in Eastern Oregon, and has a compelling family story. She was raised by her father and two older brothers. She was a civil rights attorney, then she was elected to the Oregon House and later to the Oregon Senate. She is a forceful speaker. Here she is in 2020 railing against Republicans for walking out and stopping then Governor Brown's cap and trade bill.
So it sounds to me like the people have already voted. What needs to happen now is the Republicans need to come back and vote.
In 2021, Fagan ran for Secretary of State and won. She was sworn in person despite COVID. She reached the second highest elected position in all of Oregon. Secretary of State is a traditional launching pad for those wanting to run for governor when the time is right. Fagan pledged to restore trust in government leaders. One of her first big spotlights in the office came last year when New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof tried to run for governor. Fagan and her investigators ruled he could not, that he did not meet the requirements for resident. The main function of her office is to make sure elections are squeaky clean and that everything works well. The other main function is auditing state agencies and programs to make sure that they are all functioning well. And that's where she ran into trouble. It turns out that while her auditors were examining the marijuana industry here in Oregon, Fagan was taking a side job with one of those companies. Willamette Week broke the story and the fact that Fagan earned $10,000 a month from the company, far more than her state pay. Monday, hoping to save whatever was left of her reputation and her job, Fagan was apologetic as she talked to the media over Zoom.
I will start by sharing that I terminated my consulting contract with Verity Holdings yesterday, and I released the contract to the media earlier this morning. I owe the people of Oregon an apology. I owe the diligent professionals in my agency an apology. I am truly sorry. I exercised poor judgment by contracting with a company that is owned by my political donors and is regulated by an agency that was under audit by my audits division. I am sorry for harming the trust that I and so many others have worked so hard to build, and I will begin working to build that trust back today.
But it was, as they say, too little, too late. The Oregonian newspaper this morning came out with a blistering editorial and called for her resignation. They blasted her for taking the contract in the first place. They blasted her for not ending the contract as soon as Willamette Week revealed the company she was working with owed millions in back taxes. They also slammed her for telling her auditors to interview one of the owners of the marijuana company that was paying her. And they criticized Fagan for not being willing to release her tax records so the public can see where her money's coming from. It was perhaps the final straw. The news about Fagan began late last week, and over the weekend, Governor Tina Kotek made it clear she was offering Fagan no help.
I don't have outside employment. I only have one job. And so I can't speak to what anybody else does.
Yeah, so that comment was pretty telling. That was the governor saying, Shemia, you are on your own. Do not expect a lifeline from me. And I'd love to find out exactly what happened behind the scenes, what led Fagan in the last 24 hours to switch from I'm going to restore public trust to I'm out of here. But it's clear to me that anyone powerful enough to give her political cover and help her survive this drama had turned against her. The four Democratic leaders of the House and Senate issued a statement after the resignation saying Fagan's severe lapses of judgment eroded trust with the people of Oregon. Former state lawmaker and candidate for governor Betsy Johnson agreed resigning was the right thing to do.
She had to have looked at the optics of this at some point in time and come to the conclusion you cannot rebuild trust from a breach of this magnitude. I think overall the public reaction is going to be one of that was the right thing to do given the totality of these circumstances.
Okay. So there you have it. Fagan is out. Her deputy will run the show until the governor picks a replacement, who has to be a Democrat, by the way. Not that Kotek would choose a Republican anyway, but different story. By the way, here's an interesting factoid. The deputy, Cheryl Myers, she makes $238,000. Fagan, as the elected Secretary of State, only makes $77,000. It's unclear if Myers will have to take a pay cut while stepping in as Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is next in line to be governor if the governor cannot do the job for some reason. But whoever Kotek ends up appointing will not be second in line because they're not elected. So next in line now and until the next election is going to be State Treasurer Tobias Reed. He'll be next in line until 2024 in the November general election.